Hey guys, welcome back to Human Will Perform. Today we are in our final segment of our 5-part series talking about the different symptoms of codependency from Pia Mellody's book, Facing Codependency. Make sure, please, that you get a copy of this book. It will change your life. It's so helpful, even for those of you who might be saying, hey, I don't really struggle with codependency, I'm cool. If you're a person who's in a relationship with other people, you need to check out this book, because I can almost guarantee you that there's someone that you're in a relationship with that this book would make a difference for. And so for you, who probably doesn't struggle with it, it would be really helpful for you to know how to interact with them and what to know their struggles are. So just make sure you check that out. So today, guys, we're going over core symptom number 5, which has to do with everything relating to moderation. Experiencing and expressing our reality in moderation. If boundaries wasn't enough of an indicator that someone might be struggling with codependency, this is where it all kind of comes together. Okay, this is probably the most pronounced and biggest indicator that someone might be struggling with codependency, and it affects every part of our lives and our reality. It affects the way that we use or internalize our body and our thinking, behavior, and our feelings. And so how it affects our body is particularly on one end of the spectrum, it could be that we struggle with anorexia, nervosa, or bulimia, or we're just really thin. On the other end of the spectrum, it could be we're super obese. We often see this with people who, whether they're incest survivors or sexual abuse survivors, they might wear really baggy clothing on one end, covering every single part of their body, turtlenecking it up and denim skirting it up kind of thing. Or on the other end, they might not be leaving much to the imagination, if you catch my drift. These are the types of people who wear clothing that just kind of screams like, notice me, please, right? And so we have this fluctuation, but we don't have moderation. We have extremes, okay? The opposite of dysfunction is not functional. It's usually more dysfunction. Right? So we have dysfunction on one end and dysfunction on the other. And functional is kind of in the middle because it's moderation. Okay? We're able to find that middle ground. In our thinking, these are the types of people who are super black and white. It's either right or it's wrong. It's either good or it's bad. There is no gray. Don't tell me there is, right? They're either all in or they're all out. And they let you know about it, that they're all out or that they're all in, right? These types of people tend to get burned out a lot because they put so much energy invested in to being all into something, or being right, or to being wrong, or whatever it might be. There is no middle ground. And so how it affects our behavior, again, in extremity. We're either trusting of everyone or we're trusting of no one. Everyone's my bestie, no one's my bestie, right? I'm either going to let every single person touch me whenever they want, however they want, or no one's going to touch me and I'm totally shut down and locked down. Okay? And so it affects our body and our thinking and our behavior. And it totally affects our feelings. Because you've seen how it affects, in its extreme forms, how it affects those other pieces of our reality. So it would only follow that it would also kind of jack with our feelings. And so we're either feeling all the feelings, we're being flooded by them, or we're not feeling anything, we're totally shut down and kind of repressed and, like I said earlier, locked down, right? And so Pia Mellody, again, check out this book, these are her words, not mine, has kind of collected or categorized 4 emotional experiences that as adults that we tend to experience that are kind of indicative of someone who might struggle with codependency. The first is the adult feeling reality. This is by far the most functional expression of experiencing and expressing our reality in moderation. And so the adult feeling reality really is the most mature and authentic expression of that. It's the person who's completely centered in who they are, right? It's the person who can identify their feelings and their needs and their wants and those pieces, and then how to express them. They're not gonna word vomit all over you. They're going to know who they can go to in the appropriate channels and how to get that done, and how to get their needs met, and how to express their own reality. Okay? The second one is what she calls adult-induced feeling reality. Now, for the functional person, they get there through the vehicle of empathy. So being able to sit across the table, let's say, coffee, grabbing a beer, what have you, and that other person is relaying to you how they're feeling. Maybe they're going through a really painful season or painful experience, and they're letting you know about that. They're being vulnerable, right? The functional person who is feeling these adult-induced feelings would be able to kind of plug in, feel those feelings, but then at the end of that conversation be able to plug out and go about their daily life. It's not going to totally jack with them or dysregulate them, right? But the dysfunctional person who is experiencing these adult-induced feelings is going to not be able to plug out and go about their business. They're going to take on all of that person's pain. You know, if they have a backpack, they're going to say, just load it up, put more in, let's go. It's not mine, I don't care, I'm going to take it for you. Kind of like this martyr almost, right? So they become super dysregulated, super overwhelmed, feeling really confused and chaotic because they're not their feelings, but they're owning them. And so there's a reason why it feels odd and confusing and chaotic and overwhelming and feel like you're a little bit going crazy, right? And so that's the adult-induced feeling reality. The third is probably one of the more insidious ones. It's the frozen feelings from childhood. And it totally comes out of a sense of what that individual believes to be safe. Without going too much into the brain chemistry and what happens with the brain and rewiring as a result of trauma, that's another video. But suffice it to say that when an individual or kid, whomever, is experiencing an event or a series of events that are super traumatic and overwhelming, it kind of like barrages the system. It's like, oh my gosh. And so the brain, because its main thing is to survive, says, this is too much information. We're going to fragment, compartmentalize, or dissociate. Basically, we're going to put this thing, we're going to lock it down over here, you know, throw away the key kind of thing, and we're going to survive. We're going to keep going on here. That's good and that's right. And that's functional. When it becomes dysfunctional is when we forget what we put in that box. 2 years later, 5 decades later, right? And so we have these frozen feelings from our childhood as a result of trauma that may have happened back there that we have carried with us into adulthood. And so we're either feeling everything we can't regulate, or we're feeling nothing, we're super numbed out. You know, Brene Brown talks about that we can't selectively numb. We can't say, we want the good feelings, but we don't want any of the bad feelings. It's not how it works. You have to have both in order to feel. For better or for worse, right? And so the most common emotions that get frozen, check this out: fear, pain, and anger. The trifecta. Probably the biggest things that we all struggle with. Those get locked down and those get repressed. But with the help of a therapist, being able to kind of help thaw those emotions, you can become more integrated with who you are and to begin to feel things that maybe you haven't felt before and to learn how to identify those feelings. Because maybe you weren't able to do that, your caregiver or your parents weren't able to do that for you when you were a kid. And so it's so massive to get this worked out. It's so incredibly important. The fourth is what they call adult to child carried feelings. Okay, as kids, they can absorb fear, shame, rage, fear, anger from their abuser and/or their caregiver, and so they internalize these feelings. They kind of put them in their backpack, and they get carried into adulthood. And so they truly believe that I am all of these things. I am the summation of the abuse or the neglect that I incurred. That's not true. But you're carrying that from childhood. So it becomes a part of your identity. And so it's really hard to kind of piece that out unless you seek help and you reach out. And so because this is probably the most important of all the symptoms, I am going to plead with you to really look at your story. Where are you at in this? You know, are you having adult-induced feelings? Do you have frozen? Or do you struggle with knowing what you're feeling. Either way, please get help. Ask your partner, ask your best friend, get in touch with a counselor that you know is solid, that can help you figure this out. So, so important. But I'm so thankful that you have watched this video, and I hope you check out the other videos too. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can get notified when we release new and upcoming content. If you have any questions, please feel free to shoot me an email at humanwillperform@gmail.com. This is probably one of the most important things that's close to my heart. And so I hope you find freedom, and if I can be of help with either connecting you to a therapist or maybe working together, I would be more than happy to help you discover more of who you are and how you can give more, not only to yourself, but to those who are in relationship with you. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I look forward to seeing you guys soon. Bye!